Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, Dandadan, Season 2.
Yep, Dandadan, Season 2, Episode 5. Welcome back to the dojo. I'm Ryu. That's Age. We're back for more Anime Night in the dojo. And, welp, I got my old channel back. So I'll do a video on that at some point. We're staying here on this channel, so don't go looking for that one. But I just wanted to say yay. I beat some random asshole company in Japan with a legal process. I'll do a video on that. I did like a closing my other channel down video that I'm going to post on my other channel, directing everybody to here. So I'll do the update video that I promised when the situation resolved itself one way or another after my first post on this channel. So you guys can look forward to that. Talking about some stupid legal process, I'm sure you'll be riveted. It's relevant to anybody who might end up in my situation, at least in the reasonably near future, where the YouTube policy on this kind of copyright stuff might still be the same and relevant to you when you're watching that. So, anyway, as for Dandadan, aliens aren't real, right? Psycho just isn't. It's not an alien. He's just the dad bod now.
And he's not an alien, he's just a kappa.
Yep. So we also got Taro doing things last week. It was out of control. It was madness. We sealed Gigi and the Evil Eye inside Taro, so it'll be interesting to see where we go from there with that. But that's where we're at. We should be getting the hell out of this town at this point. So pretty much everything we talked about at the end of last episode will probably be rolling into the next arc. I do know what the arc to end the season is because everybody's talking about it now, and I'm sure if you haven't seen it, it's not really a spoiler. It's just called the Kaiju arc. So if you're on the internet watching us, you've probably seen it. So yeah, that should be interesting. Speaking of copyright, they had to change the original design of the Kaiju from the manga because it looked too much like one of the Godzilla allies / villains. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. But we know it's going to be coming to end the season, but before that, we still have like the intermediary school shenanigans are coming. I saw a couple like random clips of, which didn't really give anything away. It was just like a couple shots of like Okarun and Momo's friends, and we knew that was probably going to be a thing at some point because those two characters were introduced and they had unique models. You know what I mean? They weren't just like throwaway models that, you know, we're never going to see them again. Ha! So
Yeah, I know like the basics of what this like mini school arc is supposed to be about, but not really the specifics of what happens in it.
Right. So, gonna wrap up the stuff in the village here, and then go deal with the GG Evil Eye situation, and then do some school shenanigans. So, I'm up for the madness.
Maybe give Taro another random excuse to reveille.
Yeah, why not? So, either way, we'll get the timer stuff set up for people over on Patreon, and if you're on YouTube, again, the link to the timer-based reaction will be down there in the description, and hopefully the first pinned comment, assuming that functions. And if it's not in the first pinned comment, I apologize for it not functioning. So anyway, we'll get that set up. So yeah, so here goes something. Well, alrighty then. This certainly was a thing. We mentioned it there at the end of the reaction that this tried to be kind of like a normal transition episode, you know, normal slice of life nonsense, and it couldn't do it. Not that it needed to, mind you. It absolutely doesn't have to do that because that's not what this show's about. It has flashes of normal, random, awkward teenage behavior, like whatever Momo was doing with her hands in that car ride, because as I pointed out, are you allowed to do that on TV?
Nothing happened in the car ride.
Yeah, nothing happened in the car ride though. So, this episode had that like feel of nothing really happened, but a lot of stuff actually happened. If that makes any sense at all. So they tried to exorcise the evil eye. Multiple times even. Didn't work. So Gigi had to stick around inside Taro until they figured out the whole thing with hot and cold. So all they need to do is hire Todoroki and the problem is solved. I don't know why they can't just jump universes and go to school with him and problem solved. But either way, they can't, he can't touch a liquid that apparently, whatever, even room temperature soy sauce is considered a cold liquid. But whatever, we saw that at the end of the episode. But if they want to keep him as Gigi, they need to keep hitting him with hot liquid. So that's going to be a thing.
It seems like it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be necessarily liquid, just like heat.
It's just like any sudden cold or hot shift on part of its body, period, triggers the personality swap.
Right. So, I guess even like a room temperature thing like soy sauce usually is, for the most part. It's usually refrigerated, so maybe it's fairly cold, but...
Well, so the thing is, even if it's room temperature is still below body temperature, and liquid rapidly drains heat from anything that it touches because of its thermal properties.
Right.
It has an extremely high thermal conductivity, so it saps heat very quickly.
Yeah. So
even a room, that's why even if it's like a hot day and you're going into a pool that's like 60, 70 degrees, it still feels really cold when you're first getting into it and adjusting to it, because that's still colder than your body temperature, so it very quickly sucks heat.
Yep. So it's definitely an interesting situation for him, though. Back to normal. Did you guys see all the stuff going on in the background of this episode? It was out of control. We had, Taro doing stuff. We had Ira babysitting the baby alien, stuff like that. Turbo Granny getting into all kinds of random nonsense, that kind of thing. The Mantissian
Still not being able to find her cushion.
Still not being able to find her cushion. It probably exploded at this point, so it's kind of irrelevant. The Mantissian, whose name shall remain nameless because that's very close to a fairly iconic figure in history that people might not want to remember. So I don't know if we're allowed to say that. So I'm just going to keep calling him the Mantissian and avoid any and all madness. But yeah, we had Okarun geeking out over alien stuff, so glad that's still a thing. That was a major part of the introduction of his character. I'm glad they're still doing it. They can't just erase a character trait out of nowhere, and sometimes you kind of see that in series where it's like they introduced a character as this, and that's arguably, who they've been the majority of their life up until that point, obviously. And then just because a major life event occurs doesn't mean you're necessarily immediately just going to stop being like not into aliens in his case. You know what I mean? So it would have been kind of like one of those head scratchers of like, he was super into alien stuff, like had all the like that kind of stuff memorized, all the weird paranormal stuff memorized and that kind of thing.
Well,
so
he's just into the occult in general, but aliens are like one of the bigger focuses of his obsession. Yeah.
So just having that just disappear from his character would be kind of weird. So I'm glad they're continuing to have that be a thing for him when there's like random shenanigan downtime, like this situation with the spaceship and them engaging their hyperdrive to go across the street. So yeah, that was
and they did the same ridiculously over the top freaking like warp travel scene that they did when he left the first time.
Yeah, except they're now living next door on the dairy farm. So there you go. We got a little bit more lore on his planet, which I don't know how the cow survived, but whatever. I guess it makes sense if it's a breathable liquid. So I'm not gonna try to break that one down. I don't know enough about that kind of science to know if that's bullshit or not.
It's we don't really have any that we know of, but yeah, it theoretically is possible to breed a liquid.
So that was something. We had this whole sequence in the car where nothing happened, and we're sticking to that story. We got the occult supermarket, which that was the supermarket. You got a parking sign, 24 hours. Occult World Supermarkets, the new hot chain coming to a city near you, right? So that was a thing. Gigi's parents are okay. Even if that wasn't a huge sticking point for the plot, it's nice that they kind of paid it off, because as we saw, they tried to hang themselves and Gigi saved them, and they're in the hospital, so it was kind of like up in the air what was going on with them. So
yeah, they'll still probably largely be written off for the most part, because they don't usually involve parents very much in these kind of stories. And once again, the reason they're in the hospital is because they try to hang themselves, and in most cases, you don't just get let out of the hospital after any sort of suicide attempt. You get put on watch for quite a while.
Right. So it's nice that they kind of did that. And then we had this, which explains her 100-year lifespan, bare minimum. She said she was cultivating. They were cultivating this the worm for at least 200 years. So they've been around for at least that long. Obviously longer than that. So they referred to themselves as the Subterraneans. So is that another cryptid? Because I have no idea.
Not a cryptid specifically, but yeah, there has been a lot of mythology and spooky man tales and urban legends and stuff like that about subterranean races that live under the earth and want to try to usurp humanity.
Got it. So I guess that's where we're going with this. So, they don't have enough enemies as it is, right? How many enemies are going to get put on the back burner? You know what I mean? The aliens are already on the back burner, and now we got these guys.
Well, it was probably just Okarune's imagination, but we did finally have the aliens actually come back in this episode briefly with him thinking about the exorcism crew, and it was the aliens playing the drums.
Right, because why not just have them play the drums? It can't get any weirder, right? So, either way, again, see, there you go. I landed right on the frame where they're talking about it. But, I don't know what was going on with this whole situation. Did these two get, abducted by the crab shenanigan? Because they're making it sound like that's what happened. Or were they just being weird? Because this whole conversation kind of confused me.
They haven't had any direct exposure to supernatural anything. They just know that Momo's really into it. And that now she's hanging out with Okarune, who's also really into it.
Right. So, yeah, either way, as far as I know, this is Okarune's first, interaction with these two?
No, they've kind of showed up and basically questioned why they're hanging out together and stuff now, and kind of given him the side eye, but this is their first direct interaction that I know of.
10.5 minutes. We can't even make it to 12 minutes anymore, you guys. Yeah, I guess they were kind of around for a couple of the side interactions we're having early the first season. So yeah.
Yeah, well, while they were still dealing with the whole Okarune and Momo first getting to like know each other and dealing with the IRA stuff at the school, like they still had some interaction here and there.
Yeah. I didn't notice this, but since I landed on the frame, props to them for putting up a reasonable hour of the day for them walking to school in the morning. 8:16 a.m. Yeah, that probably tracks. You don't really need to do that kind of thing, and I'm kind of surprised it's there, to be honest. But you gotta appreciate even the subtle attention to details, like, you know, the top of your phone screen with the battery, the bars, and the time of day. And
It's clearly not a metaverse phone because it's not at full battery 100% of the time.
yeah, they don't have a metaverse phone, so real bummer. But we continued this whole situation with Ira and the fact that her classes completely shunned her because they took everything at face value both ways. I don't understand what's up with these people either. We have the reasonable people over in Dress Up Darling, and then this is the weird series, obviously, but they took everything at face value when it came to her. Oh, you know, in this case, like Momo and Okarun are, you know, need to be like ostracized and like, you know, taken down a peg because we need to protect our Queen Ira. And then, oh, she did it. Well, F her then. How do you realize how backwards way of thinking that is? The second part makes sense for being reasonable. Oh, she was the bitch and admitted it. Okay. But on the opposite side of the coin of like worshiping her and her being super popular, that's the part that doesn't make sense from an objective standpoint. The other way, fine, whatever. You know, give her the cold shoulder and don't talk to her for a while, whatever. But how do you do both? That's impressive. I don't know what's going on with this class, but it's probably not going to be her problem because now she's totally not living with them because now the house has exploded. We saw at the end of the episode. So,
well, this is just going to kind of be her own side story. Probably is getting an actual relationship with her classmates, not the superficial one that she had created.
Yeah. So she's gonna have to come down from Popular Mountain and rebuild her reputation from the ground up. So, yeah, it's definitely one of those interesting situations where she can still turn it on, though, as we saw from that one frame. But either way, a lot of nothing happened in this episode, and it was impressive. But everything going in the background from, like, you know, like Ira babysitting, all that kind of thing, and all the serious natured stuff that was happening with, you know, the exorcism, Gigi's parents, all the stuff going on. It was just like a literal, just like hot pot of just everything going on at the same time, but nothing going on. It was impressive. So,
yeah, Ira still hates aliens, but she also still loves cute things, so the baby gets a pass.
Yep. Because why not? But either way, going forward, this is a situation we're in. Learn how to pass soy sauce better, I guess. I don't know. Don't tilt a liquid barring container. You know what I mean?
I suppose, to be fair to Okarun, those soy sauce spouts like that are notoriously leaky. Like, they tend to get soy sauce stuck in them. Yeah.
I haven't had it in a while, but even with the containers that we had back in the day, it would just be there, even if you moved it a little bit. It's kind of like when you turn your AC on in the car and the condensation is just all over the place. So, anyway, again, a very impressive episode for what it was. You know what I mean? We ended on a table flip of epic proportions.
Evil Eye blowing up the room as well as all of his clothes.
Yep. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll get Okaroon versus Evil Eye round 2 at some point, and maybe they'll have to beat it in submission, and then GG will have to rein it in, because again, they mentioned it here in this episode. He's like perfect vessel for the Evil Eye because he is like a spiritual powerhouse. You know what I mean? He's like overflowing with spiritual energy, that kind of thing. So you would think that would work both ways. Yes, he's a perfect vessel, but if he can control that power, he should be able to suppress the spirit and or, you know, go bro mode with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, from what Turbo Granny was saying, Evil Eye in general is just one of the like superior class of yokai. That like even though GG's Evil Eye is relatively young and weak, it's still like night and day difference between trying to suppress it and trying to suppress a normal yokai.
Yeah. So it's probably going to come to blows.
Now we did see in the preview the band, which is the other like thing that the show's gotten in trouble for, not just the kaiju thing, but apparently the Exorcist band in this is like a parody of an actual band, and the actual band got upset about it.
Yep.
And so they got into some legal trouble over the next episode.
Right. Which I don't know if that band was in the source material or if they just like did that for the anime and made it too close to a real band. So yeah, I don't.
So from what I know of the situation, it was that band was in the source material. It's just the band didn't really know about the source material. Then the anime is like super popular, so they actually got it drawn to their attention. And more importantly, the biggest difference is the fact that, unlike in the source material, there's actual music in the anime, and apparently the anime went out of their way to parody their music too, not just the looks. So they got doubly upset.
I don't know how you make that make that choice as a director or a producer. You know what I mean? Baffling that you could be that uninformed and make anything even that closely resembling. You know what I mean? So
well, I mean, it was probably deliberate, because once again, it's supposed to be a parody, but yeah, apparently just the band themselves got super upset about it and are trying to sue them over it.
Right. So you could have just asked. Just saying. So either way, we'll leave you on this epic table flip here. So impressive episode for what it was. I enjoyed it. Furthered pretty much everything it needed to further, including some really crazy hand action, which I don't even know if you're allowed to show that kind of thing on TV anymore. So,
hand holding, how lewd.
I know! You could get pregnant. That's crazy. This channel run by Amelia from ReZero, by the way. So, yep. That's all I got for this one. You got anything else, Age?
Yeah, next episode will probably, since once again we see the band in the preview, will probably be the actual like attempt to exorcise Evil Eye and mostly resolve the situation, and then go into the school arc.
Right.
Which is, from what I know, a fairly small arc. Will probably only be a couple episodes.
Yep. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, people of YouTube, beyond however you're watching, we always appreciate you stopping by and hanging with us here in the dojo for more Anime Night in the Dojo. And this was Dan Season 2, Episode 5. So have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.